In this video, I want to focus on the swing weight of the club, getting the club's mass up a little bit to deliver a little more energy into the ball. Most of the time, I find that a D5 swing weight is about the magic little number that kind of ends up being the best for a player. I didn't just search for that. I did a lot of research, and it always just kind of ended up there. So over the last 3, 4 years, I started to notice that for about 80% of the players that I fit, that D5 swing weight works really, really good. Now, when I have a weaker players or younger players, that's not always the case. We do have some things that we need to watch and at least try to see if we can get the performance up, and that may be lightening the swing weight, lightening the shaft, things like that that we've talked about in the past. But in this case, this player was really, we fit a 16 high TPT shaft in a 9-degree G410 driver head, and he liked it pretty good. And you can see down here it was a D0 swing weight at 195.4 grams. That was the head and the screw. And we do know that the mass of the club is about the club itself and then probably approximately 4 inches up the shaft. So that mass is what the ball feels. And so in this case, this player was 155 miles an hour on average. And I felt like we could probably get a little more speed out of that, just basically because I could tell because I've seen enough of them. So what I wanted to do is at that swing weight, D0, I just jumped right up and went to the D5 simply because I know that's usually where I get the best results. And so I just went straight to it. Now you may want to test it out and go up and down the scale and see where you fit too. And I do that still as well. But when I jumped up to that D5 swing weight, now I went up to 205 grams on that head. We immediately saw 2 miles an hour of ball speed with the same club head speed. Now keep in mind, sometimes when I go up in swing weight, especially something as drastic as those 5 swing weights, I will very often see the speed of the club go down by a couple miles an hour and yet remain the same ball speed. Now when that happens, that's just a call for the fitter and the player as to which one's going to be better. I would tend to go with the club heads being higher. Number one, because the player's probably going to want to see their club head speed higher. Number two is I don't want to tire the player. So if I see their club head speed drop, then there's a little heavy for them. I'm probably not going to want them swinging that for 18 holes, or some of the college kids, you don't want them swinging it for 36 holes if you notice that extra weight slowed their swing down. So that's just kind of my thoughts on it. The player could actually like the feel better, and if we don't think they're going to get tired, that would be just fine. But you can see here we definitely increased by 2 miles an hour on the ball speed. That gave us approximately on this particular one, let's look back, 262.2 on the carry average to 269.2. So we got about 7 yards of carry on the ball. Our land angle went up to 39.7 from 36. And our total there was 287 to 290. So only gained 3 yards on the total, but the extra 7 yards on the carry is a pretty big deal on that for a player, because that might carry a bunker or something on a dog leg that could end up much closer to the hole than you would if you couldn't carry that bunker. So I think that was very important, and of course the player saw that right away. And the only thing we didn't like, it also went to the right. And this player likes to see that little draw. So when we added that extra weight, the face doesn't get quite as closed. And you can see here on the original one, we hit just a club path was at 1, and he was hitting a little towards the toe, getting that little draw. And we can even see here, I think you can see just a little towards the toe, and we were getting this nice little draw, and that's a pretty nice place to be. And then when we hit the other one, it still went a little bit towards the toe, but the face angle got a little bit more open and it wouldn't bring it back. So we were creating some push fades, which neither one of us really liked that. So what I did was I then took that same head and I put the weight in the heel of that club. And then I was able to catch that draw and get it back. So I got that draw back. We were able to keep the carry distance up. Wasn't quite as much as the time before. We lost a little bit of height on it so that the carry went down. We still had the total up in a nice place, and he started to see the shape that he wanted to see, and we kept that ball speed up in the same place as well. So that was pretty good. So then I started thinking, what else can I do to help this, move over a little bit more? And I thought, well, why don't we just try adding a degree of loft? And so when we added this degree of loft, we immediately saw that it went to the right, and I moved the weight back to the center on this one. And the ball went to the right, and it was only 2 or 3 swings. I think I'm missing one here, but I think it must have been a bad data. So we moved it back. It went to the right. Didn't like that immediately, but I remembered putting that weight back in the heel. And so when I moved that weight back to the heel, all of a sudden, we started getting that ball to turn back towards the center. And then we were able to get a almost 270 average carry and 104 height, land angle about 38 and 292. So we gained a little bit more getting that ball to turn over. I don't believe that we had to spray the face. Yeah, we had to spray the face on this one. For some reason, when I did that, the TrackMan wouldn't pick it up anymore. But you can see now he's getting that shape that he wanted. We were able to get the ball speed up. We averaged actually a little bit faster in here. We moved the center location hit a little bit more towards the center. He was pretty level with his attack angle, and he got just a nice little draw off of being that slight toe hit with 2,500. You can see the difference there. We're right at 2,500 on both, and I think that works really, really well for that player. So you can see how we added the weight to get the speed up, the ball speed up. We kept the club head speed pretty similar. We did tick it up a little bit, and that gained us a little bit of extra ball speed, but pretty much stayed the same. But by adding that weight, we were able to increase that ball speed by approximately 2 miles an hour. So you can see the progression of how we went through that fitting, how we started here, and then we kind of moved it out over here, and then we moved it over there with those other shots, and then we pulled it back in. And that's how that fitting worked, and that's a pretty good example of how I would go about it for the most part. And hopefully that'll help you. And this video was very educational to you, and just let us know if you have any questions. If you enjoyed this video, you're definitely going to want to check out the new TPT driver shaft fitting course at tptgolf.com/getcertified. It's great for any serious golfer who just wants to be on the cutting edge, especially golf industry professionals who will benefit from being TPT certified.